Hello, welcome. This is my third stream, not two, three. I've done 3 streams. Well, I've done 2 and this is my third and I'm super excited. Today or tonight I shall be colouring this in. So I made it probably early in the week and I really like it actually. I call this style strata. So it's sort of inspired by sort of like the layers of the earth, which I'm fairly certain is called strata. I probably should research that before I come up with a name. But yeah, I've done a few of these and I really like them, especially when you fill them up with color. What I'll probably do first thing is find a really nice color palette and sort of try and build everything on that. But before I do that, I should introduce myself. My name, oh, no. Let's do that again. I'm new at streaming. I'm Mloyd. I'm an artist, and my brand is Mloyd Artist. And basically, my art is always really colorful, and I try to make it as vibrant as I possibly can. I tend to focus more on your abstract, really weird artworks. And through my website, you can actually buy backpacks, iPhone cases, and more. All with my unique designs. I also teach, so I'm on Skillshare. You can follow my class, and I'm on Patreon. So if you really love what I do and you want to continue supporting what I do, support the continuation of my channel, you can absolutely support. If you're low on funds or if you don't have any money, this channel, this stream is totally free. So I'm welcome. I'm completely happy just to have followers at the moment. So if you love what I do, chuck me a follow and I'll be super happy. So yeah, as mentioned, this is what I'll be doing for tonight. This is actually just me coloring in. I'm actually thinking if I really, if I get into the stream, because sometimes I do, I usually set like a timer and I go, oh, I'm going to stream for like maybe like 1 or 2 hours. And then I usually end up going way longer. So, because I just get into it, I get really, yeah, I love it. So what I'm thinking is that if I sort of finish coloring this in, I might even start adding a bit more outline to this here because I've never actually tried that before and I think it might look really cool. Before I do that, I might even show you one other thing. So yeah, basically in my other streams, I should show you what I did there. So some of my recent stuff. Yeah, in one of my streams, I actually created, this is actually my first ever stream. And so this here is a really cool artwork that I kind of just built off really weird and abstract shapes. I think it's cool. Even if you don't, that's cool. But yeah, it was actually designed for an iPhone case. So in the end, it kind of looked a little something like this. And yeah, so sometimes I design products on my website and you can actually also buy those. Yeah, you can actually buy those and yeah, they're pretty cool actually. This one's made of really strong materials. So they're kind of like, apparently they're made out of the same materials as like what's in your bicycle helmet. So that's pretty cool, I think. Also, in the very last stream I did this one. And I said I would finish it off in the previous stream. So yeah, I kind of did that. I made a few of the colors a bit more vibrant, added a bit of reflections and shadows to this sort of slimy area. And whenever I do an artwork, I always tend to sort of polish off some of the outlines and just make it look a little bit nicer. But I'm kind of happy with the way it turned out. This is for no purpose, this one. It was basically just a... I called the stream Drawing Without Purpose. And it's something I plan to do a lot of because I feel like my favorite moments creating art, it's always done when I've got no goal, no goal whatsoever in mind. So that's the thing. But back to the main show, the main event, which I know everyone's been hanging out for, is this one right here. And so if at any point you're enjoying this stream and you're like, oh, I need to disappear because I need to do this thing, or I need to go to work or something tomorrow, that's cool. That's totally cool. You can I'm actually streaming both to YouTube and to Twitch. So if you want to participate live, you're in the right place. You're watching me on Twitch. But yeah, if you can't, for example, if you need to leave early, you can actually rewatch the replay on YouTube. And once again, there's a link to my website that takes you to a playlist where all my videos will eventually go. So don't be afraid to follow on that. So with my stream, it's a great place to learn, to lurk, or even just to hang out and ask me questions. So feel free to say hello, and let's begin. Let me bring up my cool overlay that I made. There we go. What's annoying is that every time I open this overlay, I have to do this. Every time I load up this overlay, I need to figure out a way to kind of make it do it automatically. But I don't know, I like it. It's kind of got a comedic effect to it. So let's start. So this outline, when did I make it? I must have made it when I was watching TV, because that's usually when I make most of my sketches. So I've got a new layer here, and just for the sake of layer organization, because I know that's why everyone watches these things. There we go. I'm going to rename that. Not layer organization. What am I doing? You know when you write things that are on your mind, but it's actually not what you want to do. There you go. Color layer, and I'll give it a number because I usually have heaps of layers. Let's merge these two outline layers, and I'll just that's definitely a reference. Some people get really obsessive with naming their layers. That's me. I'm one of those people. But some people don't, and those people should feel ashamed, utterly ashamed of themselves. Okay, cool. So we set up our project. Along the way, I might even tidy up some of these lines because I know some of them are a little bit rough. I do like this sketch. I hope I don't absolutely ruin it. So usually when I do these, I find the best results happen when you have a predetermined sort of color scheme. And to do that, I always use this other app. I love it. It's really cool. It's a free app. And let's go to my art apps. Here we go. It's called Coolors. So COOLORS. Really neat. I'll just have a quick drink here. And it's an awesome app. It only does one thing. It basically it generates color schemes. So you just press this big old generate color, and then you can find a nice color scheme to go with your artwork. And if you want to add a color, I remember, let's see if I got this right. Oh, there we go. Add colors. I might add maybe 3 more, and I'll go generate. And so I kind of use these as a basis, but I don't generally restrict my color scheme based like exclusively to these. I feel like I've got too many colors, but I can always delete them. This is kind of cool, but I don't know, maybe I'll try something else. That's very soft, I like it. I don't think I'll use it though. Oh, hello. Yeah, I could get on board this. This is weird. I like how you've got these 3 primary colors here, like really vibrant. And then it has this really soft, I don't know, sort of like a relaxed gradient at the top there. So here what I can do, I shall export this palette and I shall make it a Procreate. There we go. I'm trying to stay hydrated. Did some heavy work today. Like I was removing a fence, and yeah, it was quite an intense thing. I haven't really worked that hard for a while. I work in sort of a retail job, so I usually don't have to work like really physical stuff. It's usually just more kind of intellectual kind of pursuits really. But yeah, today I was like really heavily yeah, like I suppose I had shovels and saws and an axe. At one point I was like axing away at this post, trying to remove it from the ground, and like it was really deeply buried, and it was a thick bloody post. It was huge. Like this isn't how big it was. It was actually a lot bigger, but it's outside of the frame. It was a really heavy thing. I reckon it was really dense wood, so my arm is sore as hell. But let's have a look. Where is that thing I've got? Oh, here it is. So I'll go set to default. So I'm in my palette section here, and when you go set to default, your palettes will actually be right under your color wheel here. And so this is kind of how I like to run it. I still have access to the color wheel, and that kind of, I say quick access to the color wheel. So that basically means that if I want to take one of these colors and make it a bit darker, I could easily do that, and then I can add it below if I want to as well. And usually I do that just for the sake of speed, and I usually do it as I go. But yeah, let's start. Let's do it. So the big decision now, and I think I know which way I'm going to go, but with this color palette, I've got to decide if I want my more vibrant primary colors at the front here, which is probably what I'll do. And then I've got to decide if I want, like, because what I'm thinking, I'll have the primary colors here and then the gradient sort of going out to the edge. But I could do it reverse. I could have the gradient here and the primary colors there. Oh, this is a big decision. For me, inserting colors has always been a bit of a puzzle. You don't want to have them all sort of conflicting, but at the same time you want to create a bit of tension and a bit of interest as well. So let's see, what should I do? I think I'm going to stick with my original gut. I'm going to start with these three colors, and I should actually rename this. I'm going to go rename. I'm going to call this base color layer. So the reason I'm doing that is because I usually like to add depth on what I call a secondary color layer. So if I go like that, that'll just help me stay organized later on. Okay, so now it's time to fill in this stuff. So where am I going to put this blue? I might go over here. In fact, what I could do, I could just try it out on all the different like little variants here. So I could try that in blue, and then I want to have a contrasting color here, but I can sort of try out two variants here and I'll see if I like it. So this is blue with a little bit of yellow. It's a sort of desaturated yellow, which looks kind of nice. I don't mind that. That's what I love about the Coolors app. I don't know who makes it. It's probably just one guy in his bedroom or something. Some really clever dude. But yeah, what I love about that app is that it just kind of shows you things you wouldn't have normally tried. Because I normally would select a much more vibrant or much lighter yellow or an orange. If I was going to do something like that, I'd probably go an orange. But yeah, it's interesting. Like even this blue is somewhat saturated. If I go like that and I go to here, so it's around there. So yeah, it is actually pretty saturated. I thought it would be desaturated. There you go. My eyes are deceiving me. I'll grab this this red again, which is a little bit on the side of the purple, which is quite cool. I quite like that. And remember, I've got all these colors to choose from as well. So if I'm getting desperate, I could always insert that. But see, I don't like that already. I think what I'm going to need to do is really differentiate these colors with those three. So I think that'll make it really look good. Or it might not. It might look terrible. I'm liking this one more than that. I feel like the blue and the yellow seems a bit... I don't know. For me, it feels a bit easier on the eyes, but I'm sure it's all up to debate. And I might try going a yellow here. So I'm basically just trying out the different colors on this pattern here. What I could do is just go like that. There we go. See, I'm noobing out already. It's the effect of being new to streaming. I'm still not really used to it. I don't like that, and I don't think I like that, but I'm really digging this. I feel like this combination for some reason really works. And what I can do, I can take this color and maybe make that the background. And I think that is going to make the whole art piece as a whole just a bit more, like zooming out, it's going to look a lot more vibrant because you got that really nice red there. So that's what I'll do. So therefore I'm going to grab that color, I'm going to copy it in there like so, and I'm going to go like that. In relation to what's happening in here, not sure, but I think what I'll do, actually no, I know exactly what I'll do. Because red and blue are contrasting colors. Well, actually not really contrasting, are they? There's something. Red and blue always look good together. That's the moral of the story I'm trying to get at here. So if you put red and blue together, it'll always generally look good in my opinion. So the question is whether or not I put my blue in the lines area there, or if I put my red in the lines part of the pattern. So now this is up for debate. Which one do I like the most? I actually don't know. I don't know. It's actually funny, when I stream I usually have this overlay when I'm coloring in, and I think that might look nicer from I suppose if you're sort of scrolling through the different streams, I might stick with that sort of white overlay there so it doesn't distract from what's happening here. I think I'm leaning towards that. I could actually continually invert it and make it one after the other, but no, you know what, I'm going to stick with that. I think that's good. And I'll just confirm that I'm doing this in the right layer. Yeah, actually what I'll do, I shall, just to give me more flexibility later on, I'll go like this. And what I might do, I'll undo that input of the red color. So the reason I'm doing this, it's so that later on I can actually add shading to these colors a bit more easily. So I'll go like that. Yeah, it's good to keep your sort of background colors on a different layer so you can sort of add the gradients later on. So let's go like this, and then I shall, I might even do these in a separate layer as well, just once again for flexibility. So the reason we have layers is for that, is to maintain that sort of non-destructive workflow. So you kind of want to do that as much as you can. I should probably zoom in here. There we go. But not too much as well, because otherwise, if you've got a really old iPad like I do, I say really old, it's 2016, so I'm sure people out there are using much older tech than this. But the RAM allowance is pretty minimal. So I think I've only got about, how much have I got? Yeah, 2 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm not working with a huge amount there. And as a result, you kind of want to be a little bit conservative. Oh, there we go. So I'll just keep adding my blue there. Then I'll go to my yellow. And yeah, so I don't want to keep too much on the layer, but just enough so that I'm not running out. I might even return and add more to this layer, but maybe down in this section. It'll make sense if you're watching this to learn. Basically, it'll make more sense as we go as to why I've separated these layers. It's basically all to do with things like alpha lock and clipping masks and stuff like that. So let's do this. I'm actually thinking of making this kind of like one of my. I could actually sell this as a desktop wallpaper if I like it, if it's good enough. And actually, if you're interested, my desktop wallpapers are available from my website, mlloydartist.com, and they're actually designed to fit the different proportions of your device. So basically, if you got a desktop, it'll be a wide rectangle, and if it's a mobile, it'll be like a tall 16:9 ratio. And with the smartphone ones, I actually include like a blurred variant of the artwork. And I do that so that you can kind of still see your icons, because sometimes when you've got a really busy desktop background or wallpaper, it's really hard to see the icons over the top. So it's good to do. Not many. I don't really know anyone who actually sells wallpapers, but especially for smartphone, you see them a lot for desktop, but you don't tend to see people making them for smartphones. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's not a very profitable business strategy, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go rename base color layer. And with those backgrounds, by the way, they're actually a relatively affordable cost as well. So if you, if you're interested in supporting the channel, that's another way of doing it. But remember, there's also Patreon, and there's also, that gives you a lot of perks. So don't be afraid to consider that. So now I've got a base color layer 2, and the reason I've done this is I'm going to use that for the red thing. There we go. For the red background. I've also realized that this color here is going outside of the border, so I'm just going to tidy that up. And I like the idea of the red intersecting between these two like that. Sometimes when I color in, I actually enjoy just doing this. I know you can just like color drop and it's a lot more efficient, but there is something satisfying to just really just manually drawing it in the background. I find that fun. There we go. I don't know, something, not so much fun, just satisfying. It's something really cool. It's like, yeah, it's a very relaxing kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm already kind of liking this. I think it's that mixture of red, yellow and blue that really works quite well. And what I'll do, I'll just take a quick drink. It's actually funny. It's the middle of winter, but I don't know, I feel like it's been really warm weather recently, so I've been getting pretty dehydrated. There we go. I'll go like this, and I'll create another base color layer. How many of these will I make? Oh, base, okay, our layer. Cool, I'll stick with that. That sounds pretty unique. It doesn't want to be the same as everyone else, and I can respect that. I think sometimes you've just got to let your layers be who they want to be. Now I think I decided I was going to go blue here and red on the other end. It's probably hard to see. I don't think the camera picks it up. It's not a strict red. It's sort of like a, I don't know, it's kind of like a violet-y kind of color. And it looks really nice. Did I do that one or did I do blue? Okay, let's test it again. So this is how obsessive I am around colors. It's kind of ridiculous. People probably get so annoyed by my by my obsession with colors. There we go. I think I like that more. Oh god, it's a tough one. No, I think that one looks better. Yeah, it does. Okay. That's going to be really subjective. I hope people on YouTube really roast me about that one. Why'd you fucking put the red in the... You should have done red and then blue, not blue and then red. I'm sure that's the kind of the viewership I'll get. That really is sort of arrogant, mean-spirited viewers. for a chilled art session. This is where this is where they'll hang out. They'll watch these chilled art streams. Okay, let's go like that. And cool. Also, one of the reasons I'm not doing color drop here is because if I did, I would have to do this. And I think there is a way actually you can do this. This is a relatively new feature, I think. It's I don't like that. I don't think it works too well. And it's already stuffing me up. So I'll do this the old-fashioned way. It feels quicker anyway. Okay, let's continue. And then we'll get our red, and we'll go like that. So yeah, it's kind of funny, my arm's killing me. Like when I was removing this fence today, like I was really like I think when you're sort of chopping wood, you have to really get your rhythm right, you know, like if you do it too quickly, which is what I was doing at once, I was going and it just, arm really started hurting at that point. I should have like taken it really slow and gentle. But at the end of the day, we got the job done. We pulled out this fence. Yeah, and it looks a lot nicer now, the whole garden, so it's really cool. Cool, I like that. I think that's looking pretty cool. I might stick with this base OK, our layer 3, and I'll use that to fill in these little cube things. I like the idea of using yellow for this sort of dotty bit, so I shall do that. Oh, there we go. And actually I can use color drop here, so I might do that. There we go. And I'll do it over to this one as well. Cool. And if you're learning Procreate and wondering how I'm actually doing this, because when you're in a layer, usually the color would just flood the layer completely. But yeah, the way this is working, I'm using the outline as a reference layer. So all of these colors, when you're using color drop, they all adhere to the shapes within that layer there. So a lot of people don't know that feature, a lot of people do, but just in case. There we go. Okay, cool. So for this thing here, I'm tempted to do a blue color. Actually, you know what? I will do a blue color. And for a number of different reasons. So the number one reason is because it's not going to, so if I do red, it'll just blend in with the background here. But if I do yellow, it's going to blend in with this and that. So really blue is the only option I can do, unless I start using these colors here. So that's, and I don't really want to do that. I want to really keep the other part of that color palette completely separate. There we go. So yeah, times are weird for Emeloid Artist, as with most Australians at the moment, probably most people around the world. So like everyone, I'm sort of, I think like everyone, I'm dealing with COVID-19. I haven't got it, I shouldn't say it like that. But it's, in fact, if anything, I just got an availability for a Pfizer vaccine in vaccination, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, like the whole state's in lockdown, and I think, you know, it's kind of funny, a lot of people really struggle with lockdown, and I think that's fine. I think that's fair. Not fine, it's not fine, but it's certainly fair. Like, I can completely understand why people struggle, not being able to see your loved ones and stuff like that. But I'm kind of privileged in the sense that I do have this creative outlet. I do have something at the very least to occupy me and keep me going. And I feel sorry for those who perhaps haven't found their creative thing. But it's never too late. It's kind of funny. I actually have a degree in musical composition, and so that's actually where my real talent lies. Um, but yeah, it's kind of funny. My this stream was pretty much dedicated to my artwork, which I kind of took up a couple of years ago. Really, well, I started getting serious about it a couple of years ago, and it all started from me just sketching on my phone on the train. So on the train, I actually just use all the same apps and things that I do on my iPad. So yeah, basically I'll just use this and I'll just doodle with my finger, and yeah, it's really cool actually. Procreate Pocket is almost just as good as what you get on the iPad. There's a few extra features here that you don't get with this one, but a lot of the gestures and a lot of features are virtually the same. And I feel like some of my best works have actually happened on the phone, funnily enough. So yeah, here's the thing. So is actually a new style I was experimenting with just a couple of nights ago. It's sort of like a 3D kind of thing, and I don't usually draw this style. I usually have nice thick black outlines that are kind of inspired by I love that artwork by Reg Mombassa. He's another sort of Australian artist. But yeah, things like this, they're all done on the phone, and yeah, you really don't need an iPad to do sketching. In fact, you don't even need a tablet really. You just need, if you have a phone, you can do it. And annoyingly, that app is only available on iPhone, but you can get, I'm sure you can get like an Android version as well. I think Sketchbook might be a good option if you're an Android user. But yeah, if you're looking for a new hobby, it's a good one. So I sort of started my sketching kind of on the train. Just to and from work, I would basically I would just try and get a sketch done in the 30-minute train journey. And if you do it every day for 30 minutes, you end up getting pretty good at it. So what should I do here? I'll continue drawing in this layer. And the reason I'm drawing in this one as opposed to that one is because I want it separated from the background. So I'll make it yellow and blue again, because I want, once again, if I do red, it'll it'll blend in with that background. I don't want that. I want to really create a distinction here. Whether or not though, I'm actually thinking it might be better to do blue for these longer sections. Or I could actually switch it up. So I might have blue here. Let's see how that goes. So I'll go like that. And once again, I could use color drop, but I'm just sketching it in manually because I kind of enjoy the thrill of it. It's probably not, thrill is probably the wrong word. I think maybe the right word to use there would be, I don't know, the pleasure of doing it. Feels more traditional. That's my stomach rumbling there. That's weird. I just had an awesome dinner and I'm still rumbling. There we go. Yeah, I think switching it up was the right decision. And what I can do, this makes sense. I know what I'll do now. I'm happy with this. I feel like it's usually harder to do like these patterns with 3 colors. If you have more colors, you've usually got more ways to sort of separate things and separate elements. But I don't know, if I speak for myself, I think I've done relatively well here. I've managed to keep everything kind of separate, and yeah, it kind of works. Because usually you have to have more complex, well, you don't have to, but it's easier to draw with, I suppose, maybe more complex color schemes if you're doing really complex stuff like this. Well, I suppose that's my opinion. Some people might find it harder. If there is one benefit to a restricted color scheme like this, is that you don't spend as much time just sort of picking things out in the color wheel because you've already got it. Now let's fill that up in yellow. That one as well. Cool. And then what I'll do, I'll fill in the rest of these in a nice blue. What I usually do is I usually polish up the piche. Gone all Sean Connery. I usually finish it off, like touch it up. So I usually, if you notice that there's a little bit of white like that, for example, fret not, it'll usually be fixed. If not on stream, then off stream. I get pretty obsessive about that stuff and it annoys the hell out of me. There we go. I think I like that just being blue. Okay. I do like this sort of alternating yellow and blue kind of thing going on with this zigzag. And you know what? I'm actually just liking this in general. If the other color scheme doesn't work, like this thing here, and I don't know, I don't see why it wouldn't. But if it doesn't, I shall perhaps just continue using this red, yellow, and blue thing. You can't really go wrong with it. It's a pretty simple, but sort of like a classic color scheme. I don't know. Classic's probably, once again, the wrong word. Let's go like that. Yeah, I'm liking this. I think it's coming together. See, I'm so new at streaming. I'm trying to figure out where I actually put my glass. Do I put it over here? I think if I put it over here, I risk knocking it over with my mouse. So I'll probably keep it just over there. But then I'm worried that one day I'm going to do the inevitable and I'm going to spill my drink on the iPad. It's going to look really weird. It's not going to look weird. It's going to be disastrous. I'll lose my sketch. I'll have to buy a new one of these things. And they're so expensive at the moment. I'm thinking about upgrading, but I'm not quite sure which model to upgrade to. Because the new iPad Pros have all that extra RAM. Because they all start at like they start at 8 gig of RAM, but you can get 16 gig if you go up to the higher models. But if you do that, crikey, you're paying a lot of money. And I do question what for. Because you don't really need a huge amount of RAM to do sketching, but it can help if you want to do things like posters or really large artworks with multiple layers. So as you can see, I'm now starting to work on this other section of the piece. So I kind of like this zigzag being the divide between one color scheme and the next. So I'm gonna, and this could look utterly awful, by the way. This may just completely blow up in my face, but I've never really tried this kind of artwork with such a strange color scheme before, so I am once again somewhat excited. Now I probably shouldn't draw that in this layer. I might draw it in this one. Once again, when you separate your layers, you create a more flexible and a more a less destructive workflow. So it's definitely worth separating things. So I'm gonna go like that. You know what? I'm kind of liking it. I think this color scheme could indeed work. What I shall do, I shall go up to this layer and I shall fill in the next part with this color. Now the big question is, what do I do here? Because every second, I think I'm calling them fragments. Every second fragment has a double line. And I need to figure out what color I'm going to use for that. I like to include just a little bit of chaos. Throw in a double line for a bit of chaos. My idea of chaos is perhaps a little... Oh god, that was a bit extreme. Wasn't ready for that. I hope you're all okay there. I wasn't quite prepared for that layer fill there, but hopefully you survived all right as well. That's actually technically that. And I'm going to keep you on a bit of suspense here because Amyloid Artist needs to do a quick break. And oh, this is actually kind of cool because for the first time I actually get to show you my very new intermission sequence. I actually spent a good couple of days making this, and so I had a previous intermission sequence, and it was basically just my adverts like this playing on a loop, but with really loud electronic music, which I make. So I was kind of, I like the music I chose, but it wasn't right for the stream. It was too like obnoxious and in your face, and I wanted something that was a bit more chilled, a bit more relaxed, that kind of promoted the services more than the products. Because yeah, these seemed a little bit addy for an intermission and kind of a bit annoying, really. So yeah, what I'll show you now is my new intermission sequence, which I'm quite proud of. I did it by like shooting. Actually, it's this drawing, believe it or not. So, the intermission is me drawing this piece, but from lots of different camera angles. And I hope you like it. So I shall disappear. This shouldn't be more than 10 minutes, I imagine. But basically, I need a refill and take a little break. So I shall be back shortly. Thank you for watching, and yeah, feel free to ask me questions in the chat if you need. I'll be back very shortly. And I'm back. Thank you for waiting. Yes, that was my new intermission thing, and there's actually a few more little songs that play in the background. Um, and yeah, I actually wrote those. So yeah, I've been playing around with this really cool app called, it's actually a plugin called Pigments 3. I'm not sponsored, of course, but it'd be really weird if they sponsored me, an artist. But yeah, basically, it's a really cool synthesizer, and it uses, like, it's different to other synthesizers because it's just full of all these different, like, cool modulations and parameters that you can sort of customize things with. So it's, for example, not only does it have all your LFOs, envelopes, function, like what do you call them, function modulators, I don't know, I can't remember what that specific thing is called, but it has things like a sample engine and a granular synthesis sampler built in. So I'm just enjoying the heck out of playing around with that. Should I put that in a different layer? I think I do. I think I need to put this in a separate layer. What I should do, I should remove that little line I did there, and I'll do that in my new layer. There we go. Once again, just trying to maintain that flexible and non-destructive workflow. There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, Pigments 3, it's really fun. And so for those who don't know what granular synthesis is, it's probably not one of those terms that everyone knows about. If you do like music, or like music production or music composition, what it is, you basically take an audio sample and you dice it up into really small grains. And with those grains, the granular synthesis engine will sort of reorganize them. And so you could make something that's like a very short sound, like maybe a single note of a guitar. And you can actually theoretically extend it for as long as you like. And so when you feed that into a synthesizer, it allows you to create these just amazing just sounds. They look incredible. I've realized that the color isn't showing up very well on my capture here. Looks like I'm just coloring it in white, but no, it is actually that yellow color, which you might be able to see it a bit better there when I zoom out. Yeah, I'm trying to get used to I've decided to go for an automatic exposure in the camera here, but yeah, like I haven't really invested too much into a decent camera for this yet, because I don't know if it really requires it, especially with my artwork. It's not like I'm doing really high fidelity, I don't know, photography or anything like that. So I think it works pretty well for now. Let me know though. Cool. So I'm going to continue working along this gradient here, and I'm going to make these green, and I'll probably, yeah, I'll continue in this layer. Oh god, my voice is disappearing again. It's that time of night. I've waffled on about granular synthesis for far too long. It's happened, as it always would have. Okay, let's go like that. But yeah, it's an awesome synthesizer, and yeah, if you liked the music that was playing in that intermission, that's all made by thyself. I'm trying to make as much as I possibly can for my content, so I don't want to. I'm worried about breaching copyright, basically, because I care about that kind of stuff. You shouldn't use artists' content without permission. I'm a big believer of that. Might be because I am an artist. Maybe not. Okay, this is annoying me, so I'm going to quickly go to my outline here, and I'm just going to polish that off a little bit. That was one of those very quick patterns that I didn't really think too much about. Usually when I create sketches, I'm actually doing it on TV? No, I'm not on TV. Not yet. No, I'm just sort of, usually when I'm doing it, I am watching TV. So at the moment, I've been watching a lot of The Crown, which I just finished the last season of, and not the last final season, but the last season that's aired. Love it. Such a good show. The acting's amazing, the cinematography's amazing. It's just a really good quality show. And I watched another show which, oh god, I can't remember the name of it. It had that Anthony Mackie bloke in, who's in that, what do they call him? Not the Winter Soldier. He's in the Marvel films. Falcon, is it? Yeah, I'm so terrible with my superhero stuff. I only recently got into Marvel. I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, no. During 2020, there was a big lockdown, and I thought, well, now's a good time to catch up on what everyone's talking about here. So I thought I'd get into the whole Marvel stuff, and it turned out I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. They're great films. And I won't hear any of this Marvel versus DC stuff unless it's all in good jest and good fun. But I love it all. Some of my favorite films of all time one of my favorite films of all time is The Dark Knight, which is just such a good film that Batman film by Chris Nolan. Such a cool thing, really cool. Let's go like that. I'm not actually sold on these two colors for these little scallops. Is that what you'd call them? I don't know, ovals. Yeah, I'm not quite sold on these two colors. It's and they're really not showing up on the capture at all. It's they show up when, it's actually funny, they show up when I sort of zoom out like that. But yeah, bear with me here because it's going to look a bit strange. But what I shall do, I shall try and maintain a little bit of color there. I might even try if I switch it off auto. Oh, no. So this is now manual exposure. So let's see if it catches things a bit better. So I'm trying to make it darker so that you can just see things a little bit better. Yeah, so you won't be able to see the outside, but you can kind of see the color a bit more clearly now. Yeah. There you go. I'm actually surprised that worked as well as it did. Yeah, like I said, this is my third stream, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm still kind of learning all the tricks, the tools of the trade. For the first time, I actually learnt how to save your previous Twitch broadcasts. So I've streamed twice, and they've never been saved. So just forgive me while I do all my boomer Twitch stuff. I'm trying to figure out how it all works. And I think tonight I'm going to try rating, because I've never done that either. So yeah, hopefully I'm not going to be rating many people by the looks of things. At the moment I'm currently streaming to a whopping 1 viewer, and I'm pretty sure it's a bot. But I could be wrong. I'm thankful for the bot. It's good to know that the bots care about my artwork. I admire that. There we go. Cool. At least they're persistent. At least they're sticking around. So I do admire that. Let's hop on in. Cool. There we go. But yeah, I'm excited about this actually being saved to Twitch, so that when I show people, or I go, oh look, I'm now streaming to Twitch, I've actually got something in my channel, so it actually looks legitimate. Because for the last couple of weeks, it hasn't quite looked legitimate at all. It's like, yeah, you sure you're streaming? And I've had to redirect them to this link on YouTube, which has all the playlists of my current streams. So that's where I'm saving everything for, yeah, just sort of prosperity and like an archive kind of thing. So that's still there. And I'll continue to do that, because with Twitch, I don't think it holds your videos for too long. So I'm getting there. I'm doing my research. I'm trying to figure out how Twitch works, and you can laugh at me in the comments. Beamer doesn't know how to use Twitch, and no, that's fair. It's a fair call. I admit ignorance in every sense of the word. Okay, so I'm kind of You know, I'm kind of liking this. I think it's an interesting color palette, and I'm actually thinking now, because I've kind of finished all the colors in that section there, I'm thinking I might now, I'm thinking of reverting back to my primary colors, which is something I said I wouldn't do, but I think it would be really cool, especially if I add this color to these things. So if I go over here, and you know, I've realized I probably shouldn't have put these two colors in the same layer, because it hasn't given me a lot of flexibility. But oh, I didn't realize those are up there. That's all right, I can deal with that. I'll just have to be a little bit more precise with my sort of blending and my shading. But yeah, from a layer perspective, I'm thinking it might look really cool if I have some reds there, you know. Especially now that I've got this deep dark blue, and I think that contrast between those two colors is going to look really nice. Oh yeah, by the way, what I did there, if you want to know how to isolate a layer so you see only that layer, you simply just hold down the tick button. There you go. And yeah, that just shows you what's in that layer and nothing else. And then if you want to reveal all the other layers again, you just simply hold that button down again. I'm thinking I might switch to auto, see if it can handle what's coming next. There we go. So I'm just changing, that was just me changing the exposure there. Still trying to figure out how I stream. And I need to take a drink because my mouth is getting quite parched. It's all this waffling on. That's another thing I'm getting used to, just talking to myself. I feel like for the first couple of minutes, I still feel kind of awkward doing it. But yeah, no, like as you get going, it becomes easier, I suppose. I might do this actually in the other layer, just to give myself just a bit more flexibility. Do I use color drop? Yeah, let's use color drop. Color drop's cool. Yep. Oh, that looks cool. That looks cool, but not what I wanted. Kind of glitchy actually, I liked that. Maybe I'll try and do something like that for another stream. Okay, let's go back here. Wonderful. So if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, under YouTube, just consider subscribing, and you should get notifications of when new videos pop up. And if you like, I think that helps me out with the algorithm thing. So yeah, if you like the videos, maybe that might actually push me up and get me more viewers. And the more viewers I have, the more I can kind of continue this channel, I suppose. So really cool. The problem I'm having with Twitch at the moment is that because I'm really new, and I think this is just something everyone deals with, so I'm not really complaining. As I'm still kind of working it all out, yeah, I'm not really panicking or anything. But panicking, why would you panic with this? Bad description. But yeah, I'm sort of in this stage at the moment where I'm because the art channel, or the art section on Twitch is so huge now. There's always like 15,000 people in there. I'm getting to a position in that where you're quite high up is harder than it seems apparently. So because I think the way Twitch works is they show you the most popular streams at the top, and when you've only got one like viewer, or maybe 2 or 3, you actually sort of appear at the bottom. So it takes a lot of scrolling to actually find this. So if you find this, I'm amazed. I'm utterly amazed. But yeah. So my goal for this was to create, I suppose, something relaxing. Because art has always been, and not by design, I didn't really decide to do art for this reason. But it's kind of been one of those things that I do just to relax myself. And not only is it relaxing, it's incredibly fun. And I think what I wanted to share was the relaxation part of it. I think, yeah, there's so many different ways of looking at art, you know, and that's one of the things that makes it interesting. I mean, there's so many people out there who try to sort of get their art into art galleries and sell them for thousands of dollars, and I wish I could do that. That would be really cool, but I don't think there are art galleries. Oh, there are art galleries, but no one's in them. Not when there's a lockdown. But it's more that, yeah, I think when you enter into that part of the art industry, things get pretty stressful, and I think in a way you kind of lose sight of what art is about. And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's an ignorant way of looking at it. But I just personally think art should be open to every single person in the world, and everyone should feel like they can do it, even if they, because a lot of people, they go, oh, I'll never be a good artist, I can't paint or I can't draw, but you can, you just maybe haven't tried. And really the best time to start is whenever you want, and right now or later on. And not everyone has to do art, and not everyone can do art, you know, they live busy lives and they do more extraordinary things than this. Like, we need paramedics for sure, but I feel like this is one of those things that should at least be a hobby in everyone's arsenal, just to sort of get them through some of the tougher periods. And that's kind of what I want to do in this stream, not just inspire people, but give people a relaxing sort of outlet in a way, because that's kind of what it is for me. It's a nice relaxing outlet that I really enjoy. I'm sort of changing my mind on this color scheme, by the way. So I'm thinking I really should have stuck with my original thought of, you know what, I'm going to make this sort of green color here. I'm going to replace the red there. That just doesn't work for some reason. Well, in my eyes it doesn't work. Maybe in your eyes it looks amazing. So for those, I apologize. It's I can't get along with it. I'm actually thinking, when I add a bit of shading, a bit of depth to this sort of worm-like thing here, I will use this color, and that should work really nicely, because it's sort of in the same, it sort of is the same color. It's just a little bit of a different hue, and it's a little bit darker. So it'll work as a way to add some depth to these things later on, and it will then also make it a little bit more consistent with the sort of color palette in this section. Okay, there we go. Let's go like that. And so the big question now is actually, what do I do here? Now I could revert right back to the red color I had earlier, but I'm worried that now, yeah, the reason I don't like that is because it looks like this thing is sort of above this red background, and I don't want that. So, what do I do? Do I continue with this color palette, or do I revert to this one? Because there is something I could do here which is kind of cool, and that's where I have a sort of multicolored cubic kind of stuff in the corner here. Oop, I shall clean that up a bit, and I could just use color drop actually. There we go, cool. And I could even have the yellow in here as well for a little bit of added interest. There we go. If I try that, and here, this is the challenging part. What color do I do here? And I'm thinking this one. I'm thinking if I grab that color, yeah, you know what? I like it. See, for me, this is, sometimes color palettes can feel like such a puzzle, but when you get it right, when it really resonates with you, it's a great feeling. And I will continue adding these different, I don't know what you call these really, these, I put that stroke in the wrong layer, these cubes. I'll have this sort of primary cube section here, primary color cube section. I shall put that there. And do I want to make that yellow? No, I won't, but I will make this yellow. And I'll make that top part red. I think that will kind of shoehorn it in a little bit. Shoehorn being the completely wrong word to use in that context. And then, do I want to have blue there or do I want to have yellow? Decisions. I think I shall go blue. Let's undo that completely. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks kind of fun. Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of funny. In my head, I've got these sort of weird abstract stories that are never spoken. But when you're sort of colouring in, you sort of go on a journey of colouring everything in this section and then this, and then you return back to the normal. It's like a song structure. You've got A, B, A. My mind works in mysterious ways that are probably a little bit too mysterious for some. Oop. Still trying to figure out where I put my glass. There we go. Okay, cool. I've got this rash, and I think I got it from when I was chopping wood earlier. Yeah, maybe I was building up a sweat or something. I think it was the gloves. I think that's what it was. But it's driving me all sorts of annoyances. Okay, cool. So I've got this thing, and I like how it looks. And usually what I would do at this point is I would think about what my background color is going to be. So I don't want to do red because then it would just blend in with everything else. And I'm kind of tempted not to do any of the primary colors here. I'm sort of thinking actually, and a good way of doing this, I might even leave this till later, but I'm thinking that color's a bit interesting. Or is it too, I don't know. I'm struggling with that one. There's actually a truth. I'm not even decided if I'm finished with the outline. So there's a truth. I'm actually thinking I want to do this. So I know this sketch was all about coloring in, but I had this idea just sort of like a few moments before I started streaming tonight. And sometimes that's all it takes. You just get a little bit inspired that way. I might bring this back up. And I'll merge those two together. Actually, no, I won't merge. And what I will do actually, just in case, because I'm doing something a little bit more ambitious than I originally anticipated, I'm going to duplicate this as a backup. And that way, if I completely screw this up, I've actually got something to fall back on. As I'm doing an outline, I'll switch to my outline overlay. There we go, cool. Oh, hidden layer? No, we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so let's switch that hidden layer back on. Let's draw, I'm gonna try and get that as nice as possible. I like the idea of it not being a standard width, like just sort of being a little bit varied. Okay. Cool. I've got a little bit of dust on my screen there that's driving me up the wall. So you're going to see some amazing screen cleaning there. Screen cleaning skills. So usually what I'll do is I'll just have this as a bit of empty negative space, whereas this is more your dense kind of content. And that's kind of how I like it. But what I've been thinking is I've kind of been thinking that just to do something different, I want to try and do this whole thing, but in here, in this little segment right there. So I'm sort of in this mindset, do I do it on stream or do I maybe do this a separate stream? And now that I think about it, what I'll do, I shall not get too ambitious. I may leave this for another stream because I realize if I do that, it's going to add a whole heap of work that will probably push this stream out to a good 4 hours, and I'm not really in the mood. Actually, to be honest, I kind of am in the mood, but I've also got work tomorrow, so I should really be up nice and early for that. So what I'll do, should I delete that layer? Yeah, I'll delete it now. I can always recreate it. And I shall focus instead. Sometimes focus is about saying no. I shall focus on resuming the color of this one. So I'm going to get this color good. So I'm going to create another layer here, and this layer is going to be called, what am I going to call this layer? Secondary. Secondary color, we're going to call it 2, and that's going to be a clipping mask. And my mouth is getting dry. I'm now out, but fear not, ladies and gentlemen. I have another one. I really should invest in a bottle, something with more substance, but I haven't gone that far. I spent too much money on a tripod for my stream setup. No, I'm joking. I'm not that hard. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing well. Okay, so now that I've got this layer, I'm actually going to mute everything. Mute? No, I'm thinking in music terms. I'm going to isolate this layer. It's actually funny, now that I've isolated this layer, I've actually discovered that there's a problem here that I'm not happy with. And what I shall do is I shall erase it and just fill it in again. It's not too hard to fix, but I probably should do it now before it annoys me later, because I'm going to have to, I want to apply a gradient to that background, I don't know, probably not the right word again, to that red section up here, but I want it to be synonymous. I want to apply that gradient to this red part and the red part that is in the other layer. So I need to therefore make this in that layer. Little Lloydie talking in all kinds of abstracts here, and you're witnessing it live. Or you're watching this on YouTube and you're not actually witnessing this live at all. And if you're not, that's cool. Follow me on Twitch and you can actually see all of this stuff live, and you can even interact and chat with me. Very cool. So what I shall do, I shall bring this back, and I shall now, just before I begin adding my secondary color, I shall quickly add this color back, but in the right layer this time. Good, okay. You know, it's funny, a couple of months ago, I bought this thing, and it's actually like a Procreate keyboard. So it's a keyboard that does shortcuts for Procreate. And so it gives you things like a quick button for the eraser and the smudge tool. And in the last stream, a good friend of mine showed me this really cool section of the app, which is gesture controls. And the whole reason I bought that keyboard is now completely pointless. Complete waste of money. Because what you can do, you can actually tap this button here and you can customize that so it actually opens up like an eraser. So, although it hasn't worked that time, let me see what I did there. I don't think I had it switched on. Oh, a finger while this is held will always erase. Okay, yeah, cool. So if I hold down this button, I can erase using my finger. Such a cool thing. And I had no idea. I've been using this app for years and I had no idea that was even a thing. But Procreate's like that. It's an awesome app. It's an Australian product as well, so that's one of the reasons I like it. I'm doing my patriotic duty by spruiking it. But it's an awesome app, and there's always something new to be found there. It feels like only yesterday I learned about clipping masks, and yeah, such a cool feature. But yeah, Procreate, awesome product, and deserves all the success that has been awarded to it. So now I'm going to go back to this layer, which is my original plan, and I'm going to go to this clipping mask. I'm going to select that so I can see it, and then I'm going to take this darker blue. Hopefully you can see this on the thing, but I'm going to add a bit of depth to these images like that. I'm not sure what I should call them. Should I call them worms, or should I call them little arches? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I've just realized as this one I kind of made a bit of a mistake because I added a red there. That was when I was kind of trialing the different color patterns, but I'm just gonna get rid of that red, because otherwise when I smudge that later, that's going to cause me all sorts of grief. So let's quickly get rid of that. I'm also going to continue like that. There we go. And so what we're doing, we're just adding a little bit of, I don't know, depth. I like calling it depth because that's kind of what it is really. Let's go to the smudge tool and let's smudge that in. And I say this every stream, but there's something just deeply satisfying about smudging your colors together. I think it's one of the things I find so therapeutic about all this. And I hope if you've watched the replay of this and you've become inspired to create artwork, I hope you get as much satisfaction from smudging as I do. Because my god, it's just something cool about it. And you know, it wouldn't have been as cool if it was on like on a computer, you know. I think because it's a touch screen, it's so much more I don't know, satisfying. The reason that yellow is popping through is because I previously drew that on the wrong layer. So I'm going to alpha lock the base color layer, and I'm going to make sure it's all blue. There we go. And I'm going to go back to my secondary color layer. I'm going to continue my smudging, and I'm not done with smudging. I'll definitely continue with that later as I move on throughout my piece. So now that I've done that, I'm going to do a little bit of a gradient here. I'm going to delete this yellow because you probably can't even tell the difference there, can you? There is a slight difference between those two colors, but it's harder to see in the capture here, so don't stress too much if you can't see it. It's all good. And this is one of the reasons why I try, and I stress try because I've clearly failed here, but I try to keep those separate layers. So I'm going to kind of take that, and I don't know where I want to have this, because I don't want to change this nice muted slightly dark yellow. I do want to create just a little bit, oh god, backed out there. I want to create a little bit of gradient to just make this look a little bit more detailed. Okay. What's frustrating is that I'm probably going to have to go back into this base color layer and just make this all yellow. Not too frustrating, just slowing me down. I'm just getting annoyed. I'm not really annoyed. You can tell I'm not annoyed, surely. There we go. Cool, awesome. Let's bring that back and let's continue our shading. This is another reason why I really should have did this on a completely different layer, and you know what, it's not too late. Let's go to the right layer, I'm going to get rid of it. And the reason I'm getting rid of it is just so I can do that gradient a lot easier. It's easier to redo the blue and the red bit in the other layer than to try and do a gradient on this kind of shape, avoiding those two colors. So let's get that nice orangey color I got going here. Oh, I'm still kind of thinking maybe I should go like that. I've sort of forgotten what the outline is. It's not too late, I could still do that. But I might do it more as I get to the top. Okay, yeah, so let's go like that. We'll continue with the plan. There we go. Trying to keep that yellow color, but just add a little bit of darkness. I kind of perceive this as the bottom, so if you see this as the bottom, like, makes sense. If it's I don't know, for some reason I kind of see it like that, because I think the reason is when I do the outline, I sort of draw the line and then I sort of draw on top of the line, so I kind of see everything from this angle. That's how I perceive it, at least. But the final artwork, yeah, it's definitely pointing down, isn't it? Let's go mute or isolate those two layers. There we go, cool. Let's continue smudging these things. Am I in the right layer? I am. I think there's just a delay here with, I might have put that actually in this layer. There we go. Doesn't matter too much. That's okay. I can live with that. There we go. Cool. And I'll merge that as well. And what I might do, just for that little bit of extra detail, I shall just go in like that. And I might bring back the outline here so I know exactly what I'm drawing in. Gives me a bit more precision. And I'll need to fill in that white bit. I'll do that later. Oop. Cool. Let's go like that. Not too much. There we go. Okay. And then once again, I'm just gonna simply blur these a little bit. And once again, you're probably gonna find it hard to see in the capture, but it just creates just a little detail there that I think makes it just look a little bit nicer. Doesn't have a huge amount, but just enough. I might even make my smudge tool a little bit smaller there. So I hope those watching this back on the replay on YouTube, I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know in the comments, and yeah, remember to subscribe and like, and follow me on Twitch, so for future streams you can actually say hello and chat, and I look forward to getting to know you. Here we go. I really should get one of those bars which tells you how close I am to like affiliate, because I'm excited about affiliate, because with affiliate you get to make your own little badges and emojis. I don't know what you call them. That's how much of a noob I am with Twitch. I still don't know what you call those things. I don't really care too much about the subscriber stuff, because I'd rather people do that through Patreon. And why would I prefer people to do that through Patreon, you might ask? So with Patreon, not only do I get more of a cut, but I can actually deliver you something in return. So if you're a supporter, which is a relatively low cost, not only will you support the continuation of the channel, but you get 15% off the live stream collection. You get 3 original desktop wallpapers using my augmented reality content, which I sort of do in my Skillshare thing, which I should show you later. There's also a gold member thing, so if you really love what I do, or if you really want some of these perks, you get 25% off the live stream collection. You get a free code on request for my Skillshare class. You'll also get a new desktop wallpaper every month. And if you join my Discord, which is a little bit dead at the moment, but hopefully as I get more followers and fans, that'll fill up. You'll get exclusive access to some Discord channels. So one thing I want to do when I start getting a good amount of followers is I want to start sharing artwork. So I want to see other people's artwork, not just my own. Because that's half the fun of art, is the process of analysing and seeing what other people do. That's something that I just thoroughly enjoy. So yeah, if you're an artist and you're watching this, yeah, feel free to join my Discord. And in my Discord, you can actually share your artwork. And my plan is to kind of show that in one of my streams. Now, just for transparency, because once again, I believe you should be when you're sort of dealing with other people's content. I wouldn't pay you for this. It's more just to sort of, I don't know, if you make artwork and you want to show it off to the world, it's something you can do. But if you, if you have any opposition to that, you don't have to share it at all. That's fine. You're welcome to continue to work in the comments, and that's cool. Remember, I don't care why you're watching. If you prefer watching because you prefer I suppose, yeah, I don't know, maybe you just like a nice bit of background content while you play video games, that's cool. I'm okay with that. Or maybe you're watching because, I don't know, you want to learn some cool Procreate stuff. I don't care. I'm just glad you're here. And so, yeah, really cool. And if you are watching, consider following, and yeah, hope you'll get little updates and notifications of my future streams. So that's kind of cool as well. Let's go. What should I do now? What am I doing? I'm going to create another secondary layer, like so, a clipping mask. And this one, secondary layer, layer 3. There we go. I'm pretty creative with the layer names tonight, as you should be. Super creative. And then on this layer, this is actually going to be where I add a depth for the blocks. So these things. Now I just remembered I've got to do those as well, but that's okay. I'll do that later. I keep saying that, I'll probably forget. But yeah, I'll try and remind myself. So let's add a bit of, I don't know, maybe variance, bit of depth, bit of gradient, I'm not sure. We'll go like that. And I shall just blur it in a little bit. I'm going to put that in the right layer. There we go. This is just going to be my entire stream, isn't it? Just me fumbling around with layers, trying to get everything in the right one. I wonder if other artists have this problem. Maybe it's just me. Let's go like that. So I'm thinking, I'm kind of seeing this as a little bit like a beach and a block. And so it's actually funny. Normally the ocean gets a little bit lighter as you go into the sand, but I don't know, I kind of like the way that looks. And I might also make that a darker color as well. Try and give it that 3D shape. There we go. And I shall do this over here as well. Cool, awesome. I think later on I'll add a line here in my outline to sort of just make it look a little nicer. It's a little bit more purposeful. There we go. Cool. And I might even change the color of this one as well to be a little bit darker, but I'll do that as I go into the yellow color in a few moments. go. There's me gulping down the water like the horse that I am. And I shall start filling this in. Just like so. Okay, there we go. I think I like the yellow being relatively flat. I don't think I'll add too much variance there. Although I am tempted to make just a little bit lighter. A bit like sand, you know? Cool. Yeah, I like that. I think that works. Should I blend it or should I just keep it nice and sharp? As I say as I immediately start blending it. There we go. I might even decide to add a little bit more depth on the sides here, because I think that's what it needs. And before I do that though, I'm going to hop into the outline and I'm going to just sharpen this a little bit by having this line sort of on the side there. There we go. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Looks a bit more crisp. Okay, cool. So, as those are coming together, what I'll quickly do now, in that secondary layer I was in before, I shall create a little bit of depth. And this is going to work through the blur tool that I had earlier. I'm really enjoying this piece. I actually always do enjoy these strata pieces. They're kind of fun. There's something sort of challenging about them, but also really relaxing as well. Hard to really pinpoint. I realise I probably could have just done that with a shadow layer actually. If you don't know what a shadow layer is, that's cool. Maybe I'll try and show you in future. I cover it in my Skillshare session actually, so yeah, if you're looking for a really good education on Procreate, I put a lot more effort into my Skillshare session than I have in this. That's definitely true. So yeah, if you're looking for the best way to communicate things, certainly check that out. It's pretty cool. I'm quite proud of it. It took me ages to make. It took me like almost half a year to put together, because back then I didn't really have any skill in video production. So I kind of had to improvise a lot. But yeah, the Skillshare class is basically where you learn how to use Procreate through what I call augmented reality sketches. And what that is, it's basically like sketching on top of a photo. That's really the basic crux of it. But you have to try and incorporate shadows and depth to sort of match the environment that it's in. And that can be a little bit more challenging than you might think. Okay, so where am I at here? One thing I've got to do before I forget, I'm going to go to my base color layer and I'm going to quickly refill these things because they were in the wrong layer earlier. So it's time to put them back where they belong. Okay, let's go like so. Lovely. And we'll go back to that blue. And we have to do that manually because we don't have to, but it's much quicker to do manually. Just wiping underneath there like that. Ooh, there we go. Sometimes you slip, and don't ever be afraid to use the undo key as often as you like. When you're drawing on glass, you're going to need it. It's just a natural part of drawing on iPad. So don't ever be ashamed of using that undo key ever. And one of the best things about undo, this is actually not even strictly anything related to art. It actually helps you learn, because if you ever make a mistake, you're actually more encouraged to make mistakes in a sense because there's no consequence. That's actually one of the reasons it was introduced to interface design back in the day. It was actually to encourage people to learn more than anything. Well, so I've been told anyway. Okay, I'm actually really liking this now. I think since I added the depth to some of those bright bold colors, it's definitely looking a little bit more polished. I hope you can kind of see that in the capture, because it's certainly, yeah, on my end it looks way better. Now I'm going to go a slightly darker color like that. And the last part of that particular section that I'm going to do, and I'm actually not going to create a clipping mask. I'm not going to create one for this. I'm just going to use Alpha Lock because I want to save up my layers a little bit. I'm going to go standard, use a really nice brush, and I'm just going to go like so. Lovely. And then I'm going to blend that in. It just adds a little bit more, how do I put it? I think the best way to put it is just as it is. It creates just a little bit more depth. And once again, it is very hard to see in that capture, but it is there. It does look way better since I've done that. Cool. So the next section I'm going to focus on is this secondary color from the color palette. So the secondary part of the color palette. And so I'm going to I might add a similar gradient to this sort of blue background part. And I'll do the same for probably all of it actually. I'm kind of interested in what I'll end up doing here. I'm not quite sure. We'll see how we go, I think. But before I do that, little Lloyd needs to take a little break, and it shouldn't be too much longer. And once again, you get to see my new intermission sequence. So you can enjoy my music as well. So I shall not be too long. See you soon. And I'm back. Let's get started. Get continuing. Let's get continuing. That's a good phrase. Let's do that. Okay, what should I start on first? I think I'll continue the trend of doing these sort of objects before the background, and I shall go to this one. That one there. There we go. And I shall add a little bit of depth. Oh, that's in the blue hue. I didn't really think that. Okay, so I might bring back the outline. That gives me a bit of context to how I'm going to apply this gradient. And what I shall do, I'm thinking of going like that. Just sort of continuing with that sort of line there. But I'm also thinking, oh god, this is a tough one. Do I even want to follow the curve? Maybe. No, you know what? I'll make it darker, just a little bit darker. Yeah, that looks a bit more pronounced. And I think I'm going to try, and what I should do actually, I should actually do this in the secondary layer, like that. And I'll show it as well. Let's do that. Okay, cool. And let's see if that looks all right. We'll try a few different methods. Okay. I think I like that. I don't want to follow that curve too much. I just want to have like a nice straight gradient. There we go. I think I will follow the gradient. Sorry, I will follow the line for this other section here when I'm coloring in. So, but for this sort of grayish blue area, I shall just keep it a nice straight gradient, as straight as I can get. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for. Something just really simple. Don't want to add too much complexity to the color here, because the complexity, I kind of want that to be in the outline. Okay, cool. Good. I'm also cautious. I don't want to completely replace that sort of lighter grey blue color there. I want to just sort of give it a gradient. So I feel like here I went a little bit too gung-ho. Oh no, not that one actually. I liked that one. I might just smooth it out just a little bit actually. Maybe it was in this one. Oh well. Okay, cool. Now that I've done that, what I'm going to do now, I was kind of curious to try this. I was excited to do this earlier on, but I actually don't know if it's going to work. We'll see. So I'm going to take this color and I'm going to, while I'm in this layer, I'm going to apply that sort of same gray, but to this weird tentacle thing. So rather than just doing a darker version of that green, I'm actually just using another color from the color palette that we've had generated. There we go, cool. looking forward to sort of blurring this part in. This is going to be somewhat relaxing, I think. Addicted to blurring. Blurring and smudging. It's a weird condition. It's a good one. Okay, cool. So I'm in two minds of how I'm going to do this next thing. Shall I? Because what I could do, I could just smudge it like I've been doing previously. But what I'm thinking of doing is just taking a bit of a shortcut here and just using our Gaussian blur. I wish I knew how that was pronounced. But just letting that do the work for me. And I think that will do. I like that one. That's okay, that'll do the trick. That saves me a bit of time. Saves you from having to watch me smudge all of that in, which can be satisfying, I will admit, but for the sake of just speeding things up a bit, I'm going to do that. Just use the Gaussian blur. Except for this, I'm going to smudge that part in manually because I forgot to apply the color until just now. And that one didn't quite work. Cool. While I stretch, because drawing on a tablet can be a little bit bad for your ergonomics, I shall take this opportunity to promote my products again. So yeah, if you like my channel and you want to continue to support it, I do sell products as well, and all the artwork on these products is tailored to fit the actual design itself. So this is my stained glass backpack with 3 storage compartments, 5 different panels of artwork. It's water resistant, it's tear resistant. It's actually really cool. They're pretty durable, and they are indeed water resistant. These things have actually been bought and used by someone who does like those hiking on mountains and stuff. That's that kind of thing that I never do. And yeah, he got his fully drenched, and it held up really well. So it's good to know that that's actually true. So yeah, I encourage you to put yours to the test. Very cool. And so I call that the stained glass backpack. So I've got a sort of stained glass collection of products, and I call it stained glass because it kind of reminds me of stained glass windows that you see in churches and things like that, because I always loved the colors of those things, and that's kind of what I aim for when I color in those stained glass artworks. I like to try and make it look a little bit like a church stained glass kind of stuff. Looks super cool. And if you want to see them, you can find them all on my website, mlloydartist.com. And you know what? I'll quickly show you. So yeah, with my website, you've got all the different links to all the different things that I do. So I've got my Instagram there. I've got all the links that you need for live stream. Just click the live stream button. But if you want to see products, just go browse products. And yeah, this will show you my product gallery. And so all prices are reflected in AU, so it's actually cheaper when you are buying in the American dollar. Keep that in mind. But yeah, if you want to buy that backpack, you can actually buy it straight here. And if you want to learn more about it, yeah, definitely have a read. It's a cool product. It's one of my proudest products, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. You've got dimensions, so yeah, check that out. And I shall return to this drawing. Let's do it. I'm actually thinking I really like this artwork to the point where I kind of want to sell this maybe as a desktop background, because it does fit the standard desktop proportions. So it would actually look, I think it would look really nice. my only question is what I'm going to do for this background, and if I want to maybe add a little bit more outline here. So I'm thinking of creating a sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe like a scale pattern. Not really a scale, but I like the idea of it being a little bit like hills. So like I'll have another outline here, but I probably won't do that in this stream because quite frankly that's going to take a while, and I might do that in a second stream because I'm really enjoying this art piece. Actually, it's a lot of fun and I want to continue doing it for a little bit longer. So now that, let's continue where I was. Let's continue smudging into those colors. I'm trying to think of what I should call these little things that I'm coloring in right now. Do I call them like little trees or tentacles? What should I call them? They kind of remind me of branches a little bit. But branches don't usually have that really round sort of curl. So they're not quite like branches at all, really, are they? That's the fun part about abstracts, is that they are all completely up to your own interpretation. So some people might see them as a branch, some people might see them as something completely different. And no one's right. It's all up for debate. No one can accuse you of misinformation in the 21st century. Let's go and blend that one in as well. Cool. Awesome. I'm liking that. I think it's now time to add some color to this part here. I think I'm in the right layer. No, I'm not. Let's go to that layer there. And so with this one, I have the option of adding the same color I was doing before, because these two colors are exactly the same. But if I do that, this is going to be too similar to that. So I'm not sure if I actually want to do that. I'm thinking of grabbing this color and going like that instead. And I should bring back my outline so I can see how it looks, because it might look terrible. I'll try blurring it first and seeing if that makes a difference, but I'm not liking it. I think it, yeah, no, I don't like that. So I'm going to try a different color. I'm actually thinking of breaking my color palette here and going just a darker variant of it. Just like that. And I don't want to do it too much because I really like that non-saturated green. It's sort of like a minty teal green. So I want to try and preserve that color, but I just want to add a little bit of depth. That's all I'm doing this for. Because those small details, they make all the difference in a drawing. One thing I've been thinking of trying to incorporate a bit more, because I see it in so many other people's artworks on Instagram. I have Instagram, by the way. You can follow me and you'll get notifications of my streams there, but I'm not as, I suppose, I'm not as present on Instagram as many other artists. I do have an account, but yeah, perhaps I should be, because it's definitely, they say if you're an artist you should definitely be on Instagram. But yeah, like, I forgot where I was going with this train of thought. But yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's a pretty cool thing. And there I have a lot of links to everything, but yeah, should actually give you a link to my website, which has everything else. So if you're in doubt, if you want to connect with me in any way, shape or form, check out the website, and everything I do is actually there by design. So here's something fun. I've actually now got 2 glasses of water. I really need to I need to invest in a bottle. There we go. But I'm too lazy to actually go out there and buy a larger bottle. So I'll just awkwardly carry around 2 glasses every stream. So just know that when I'm on my intermission, that's what I'm doing. I'm carrying around all these glasses. Okay, cool. I might switch on the outline just to see if I actually like how this looks. I do. Okay, that looks, yeah, I like that a lot more than going that brown color and blending that in. I think this works way nice. This looks a lot nicer. Okay, I shall blend that in as well. Very cool. And this secondary, so every second fragment has this line in the middle, and I did color that in earlier. And I'm questioning whether or not I want to add some kind of, I don't know, color, a little bit more sort of highlights or color to it. So what I'll do, I'll hop in there. I won't add a clipping mask for it. I'll just go on in here. Might add a slightly lighter tone like so. And just every now and then, just have it, that color running in the middle maybe. Actually, yeah, in the center of these fragments, I'll color in that lighter tone. And you're probably not seeing that on the capture, are you? So I'll quickly switch to a manual focus. And let's see how this works. Okay, cool. So you can probably see those colors a little bit better now. And it's a very, you wouldn't notice it right away. Only if you look deep enough can you actually tell that you've got that slight variation in color there. But I don't know, when you add all of those details together, I think the image just looks just that little bit nicer. I think I went a little bit too gung-ho on this fragment, so let's just smooth that out a little. Very cool. Right, okay. So the next part of my sketch shall be these things. Now these things have been questionable. I'm never really been quite sure what I'm doing here. Do I want to add a bit of shadow to it maybe, or I might go for something like that color. Oh, and I'm better drawing the right layer as well. So let's go to secondary layer. No, that doesn't quite work, that color. I'll try. Let's bring that layer back and quite the puzzle. I shall maybe go a lighter color and just go in the middle, just like that. Similar to what I did before actually. And it won't be too noticeable, but it might make it look a little bit rounder. And I never really intended it to look round, but I'm starting to think maybe that would be a cool thing to do. I could even add a bit more shadow here, or a darker color, to really emphasize that sort of a roundness. I think that might look kind of cool. If you think it looks a little bit dark, that is definitely the case. I've sort of increased or decreased the exposure so you can actually see the color variance there, but the picture does look a lot better. It's not that dark in my room at the moment, I promise you that. Okay, let's go like that. So what I'm thinking of taking this and going a darker color just a little bit. And I'll put that in the secondary layer again. And then I'm going to put it on the sort of on the outside of this section. And that should hopefully give it the impression of being a little bit more spherical, a little bit rounder. And once again, that absolutely was not the goal of this little doodle. It was honestly just a pattern. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. There we go. So I'm still tracking my water. So if you tuned into the last stream, you'll know that I've been very heavily tracking my water consumption, and purely because I want to test it out and see if it actually makes a difference to my overall feeling of well-being or health. And after doing it for a solid week, I can honestly tell you I feel absolutely no different whatsoever. But if you want to try it out, I don't think there's anything too harmful you can do as long as you're not massively consuming water. Apparently that can kill you, by the way. If you really drink like heaps of water, you can actually do severe damage to your brain, apparently. So yeah, don't drink too much, but yeah, definitely, I don't know, see if you, I've always felt like I don't really look after myself when it comes to hydration, and so now I'm making a conscious effort just to see if it makes any difference. Yeah, I think I made the right choice in making this a little bit more rounded. I think it looks cool. It needed something. It was just a little bit too flat, a little bit too boring, really, to just have that one color. So I think that was a good call. And I'm still very confused of what on earth I'm going to do here. I think I might just add some shadow, but we'll see. We'll try it out. We'll test it out, see how it goes. There's actually not much left to this sketch, actually. We're kind of almost done with the color. And then, yeah, I'll probably finish the stream, and I may very well continue this. And I may add a little bit more outline in this section here. And yeah, sort of rinse and repeat, I suppose, and see how it works. And if it doesn't work, I'll I don't know. It'll just be a very pleasant waste of time. And if it does work, cool. But I think it will, because I can't see it not working, I suppose. I'm going to switch back to auto there. So you're probably still going to be struggling to see. Oh no, you can kind of see it. It's funny, those colors didn't quite show up too well with this camera setup. So I really have to adjust the exposure for you to be able to see it right. Like for example, these colors are a lot darker, but when I zoom in, they seem really light. So you know what? For the sake of you knowing what I'm doing, I'll switch back to manual. I'll quickly change that exposure again, just so you can kind of see what the color actually looks like. So that color is what I'm seeing. Sort of a very drab kind of brown. And we're going to make it a little bit more drab. I remember quickly browsing past a YouTube video. I didn't actually watch it, but it was saying that I think it had something to do with cigarette packaging in Australia, but they had to try and figure out what the most boring and the most ugly color there could possibly be, because I think they wanted to put it on cigarettes to sort of detract people from using them. And I actually think it might be the color I'm using now. It's sort of this horrible browny green color. But you know what? Any color works if you use it in conjunction with other colors. the right colors, I should say. And then if you're talking very, there is a truth. There is no such thing as bad colors, just like there's no such thing as bad music. But for some reason, the Australian government, I think, decided that was the ugliest color, this sort of weird greeny brown. I should have actually watched the full video, but from me just quickly browsing past, that was the general gist I got from it. It's kind of funny, whenever I start building, or sort of whenever I start coloring or outlining some of these shapes, sometimes, although I'm not attempting to sort of emulate any particular object, it's inevitable that an object springs to mind. And I'm sort of, with these, I'm kind of thinking of mummies, like those ancient Egypt mummies wrapped up in bandages. So it's like their little arms poking out. Okay, let's go on that. And I'll blur these as well, or smudge them. So remember, if you like the stream but you need to head off, just always know that there's the replay on YouTube. So on my website you can access a full list of a full playlist of all of my previous streams. But I think this one will be on Twitch for a little bit longer, because I'll probably highlight it. So it's kind of funny, I was saying earlier, but yeah, with my previous streams, they didn't get saved to Twitch, and it was purely I tried everything with my OBS software, and I thought there might have been some sort of legal copyright issue, so I sort of analyzed the video again just to see if maybe that was it. And yeah, like I was just noobing out, because I basically just had this setting switched on which said don't save past broadcasts. And yeah, that was my bad. And so this will be the first video that will actually be saved on Twitch, I think, which is kind of cool, if it all goes according to plan. Knowing my luck, it probably won't, but we'll see. Okay, so now I'm just comfortably blurring in all this stuff. I feel like this must be a different layer. What have I done there? Yeah, I must have switched layers at one point. Doesn't matter. I'm pretty confident with this color, so I'll stick with it. I'm not going to undo it and go all the way back again. Let's go back there. There we go, just having a quick stretch. When drawing on a tablet like this, I think you really need to think more about ergonomics. I've always been a little bit envious of those people who use Wacom tablets, in the sense that they do have the ability to sit up straight, whereas with this you kind of have to pay a little bit more attention to your ergonomics. Although what I've actually been doing while streaming, because in front of me, like, I have this I have like OBS open, and so I'm sort of often looking at the preview window when I'm drawing, as opposed to the actual iPad itself, and that sort of allows me to keep my neck straight. So it's kind of funny. I'm sort of drawing, but there's often a bit of lag when I draw, which is kind of funny. Yeah, it's a weird sort of feeling, but it's actually probably good for my ergonomics. Okay. See, I was watching this show on Netflix, and what was it? It was called, I think it was Outside the Wire or something, and it had that Anthony Mackie bloke, and it was really weird actually. They were sort of trying to do this whole thing where, is the robot AI playing you or are you playing it, this kind of thing. It's just really boring. I didn't like it. It's so frustrating when because it had a really good production value. I thought it sort of had this weird military vibe. It was sort of set in this war zone in Eastern Europe, and they have these big robots which are clearly inspired by those actual robots that are made by that company, which I cannot remember. DARPA? I think DARPA. I might be right there. Don't quote me on that. Could be a different one. But if you've seen those YouTube videos that went viral of those robots sort of doing backflips and dancing and stuff like that. Anyway, this film had soldiers that were sort of they looked very clearly inspired by those things. And yeah, it was really interesting, because I feel like they made them out to be really clumsy and really kind of slow and really inefficient. But I imagine if you had like a robot military soldier, that thing would always be super accurate. It wouldn't miss. I can't imagine it missing. And they kept sort of having these big robots missing sort of the main characters all the time. And it's just like, how is that feasible? Surely it's going to have better aim than an actual human. It's yeah, it was a weird film. I'm not sure I'd recommend you watch it, but I don't know. I had one day of Netflix subscription left over, and I didn't want to get into a brand new TV series, so I basically just decided to watch that instead. It's kind of cool. I don't know. Now that I think about it, there were some really nice, enjoyable action sequences. I don't know. It fell a bit flat, but I don't know. I encourage you to make your own decision, because the more I think about it, the action scenes were great, and I think that's kind of why I am tempted to keep an open mind about it. And I've just noticed I have a follower, Luna Haha. Pleasure to have you following me. Glad you like the content, and I look forward to seeing you in future streams. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so this is sort of coming close to completion in the sense that I've kind of got the colors of this area nicely down, I think. I'm going to start adding a bit of a gradient to the background. I like to call them backgrounds, but this sort of blue section and this sort of grayish green section. Now I just use the eyedropper tool to grab a darker variant of this color. So I shall quickly just go to a larger brush type, just like that. Oh, and what I shall do, I shall go alpha lock. No, I shall not. That's in the same layer, isn't it? So if I go like this could cause a few problems. There we go. Damn. Okay. I'll just have to be a little bit more precise and a little bit more gentle. Let's go to a smaller brush size. There we go. And I shall switch on alpha lock. Oh no, it's already on. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should be very careful with separating your layers appropriately. Do as I say, not as I do. There we go. It might look actually pretty cool with a more manual touch though, a more precise kind of gradient that sort of wraps around in the direction of the overall image. So it's not the end of the world. Just takes a bit longer, that's all. Okay, let's have a drink. Thrilling. You know, I don't know what it is, but I'm really getting into water again. Let's go like that. I'm actually quite proud. I feel like when you're in lockdown, I feel like a lot of people are perhaps more tempted to drink more, like alcohol and that kind of stuff. But because that's what people generally do, I think, when they're in a bit of strife, they tend to find those vices and they lean on them they lean on them a little bit too heavily. But no, I feel like I've reduced my consumption of alcohol a little bit. I never really had any issues with it, in all truthfulness. Well, as far as I know. Maybe my close friends would say otherwise. But I feel like it's good to sort of moderate what you put into your body, that's all. Everything in moderation. Everything. Even cocaine. Okay. Let's go like that. I do not endorse the moderate consumption of cocaine at all. Let's go like that. Okay, cool. Let's continue blurring this in. And it's kind of funny, you might think this doesn't really add a lot to the drawing, but I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Like, all of these smaller little details, on their own they don't do much, but collectively they do more than you think. So now that we've got this, I'm going to bring back all my layers, all my colors. Oh no, I was right, all my layers. And I'm going to find a darker tone here of this blue, but not too dark because it's already pretty dark. And I'm going to go like this. I'm going to put it at the bottom here. Just like that. There is actually every truth that it might look better. The top part. Like so. No, I'll stick with my original guns. I'll go like this. I shall stick to what I was intending. So I'm going to create just a little gradient, a little bit of depth, just to make this a little less flat, really, because it's I don't know. It looks okay. I think I'm happy with how this has turned out, and I don't know. I think I want to continue this in the next stream. I think I've decided. I'm not just going to leave it as is. I'm gonna do another stream like this, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually, in that stream, I'm actually going to do some proper illustrations, some proper sketching, and I'm going to have like a repeat of this, but over here, and there's going to be a smaller bit of negative space. Still unsure on what color my background is going to be. I might choose a nice, maybe yellow. I'm not quite sure. It's we'll figure that out as we go. Might even stick with white. I don't know. I kind of like just having it like that, really. It's if you have a better idea, let me know, and I shall consider it. I love the idea of hopefully if this channel starts to pick up a little bit with followers and viewers, I love the idea of having a more collaborative kind of sketching where you can sort of recommend maybe colors or maybe things I can draw into the sketch. That would be a bit of fun. I wouldn't mind doing that. So I'm just blurring this in manually with my smudge tool. Cool, let's see how this is looking. I'm liking it. I think it's cool. I'm happy with it. I might try and bring back a little lightness maybe. I feel the gradient, I feel it's a little bit too dark in the middle, and I want it to be perhaps more this color in the middle like that. There's no rhyme, there's no reason. Just going based on feeling. Okay. Now what I will also do, this might take a little bit more precision as well, but I'm going to isolate this layer again, and I might actually make this, the background, just temporarily black, just so I can better see what I'm doing. But my idea was to just briefly take that darker color I had before and kind of treat it this sort of weird goo pattern that I've got going on. But yeah, kind of use this to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. And we'll see if it works. It may not. Awesome. Wow, we're almost coming up to the 3-hour mark, which is something I said I wouldn't do tonight. But you know what? I got carried away. I knew this would happen. You know, when you've got an artwork that you're really enjoying, I don't know, you just can't help it, can you? You just start to really get into it. There's actually a truth that I've been trying to prevent myself from drawing while watching TV. I still catch myself doing it. In fact, this outline was done while watching The Crown, but, which I've now finished and I loved it. Awesome series. And but I'm trying to stop that because I think it's going to make me enjoy my stream so much more. Because yeah, I think there's a truth that you value things when you do it less, you know? So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'll try and restrict my drawing a little bit more to when I stream, so I can kind of just enjoy it just a little bit more. Not that I don't. I shouldn't say that. But it's kind of hard because sometimes when you're watching TV, there's these really boring moments in the show, and you just I find myself instinctively leaning towards that iPad, ready to draw something new. But yeah, no, I'm trying to hold off. I'm trying to be disciplined, and I'm trying to sort of reserve a lot of this stuff for my streams. But even in times when I do find myself doing that, yeah, I can always just do like maybe half of it on stream, you know, and because that's kind of what I've done here. I've kind of done only half the drawing on stream, and in a way I think it's, I don't know, it's just as relaxing, and I think it allows you to focus. This whole stream has just been purely focused on color, and I kind of like that. I like that it's just a pure focus on color, because often I feel like with my past two streams I was doing the outline and the color kind of became a bit of an afterthought, because I was sort of, I think there's an inevitable me rushing it, because I'd spent like a good 2 hours or something drawing the outline. And I thought, well, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep just sketching for like 4 or 5 hours, because that's a sure way to sort of start disliking the process of sketching. But I do love this idea of maybe separating outline and color when you're dealing with these more complex sketching, because that way I can treat color with the amount of tension and the amount of detail that I think it deserves. And same with the outline, like if I maybe separate these two things, I can kind of I don't know, just maybe the truth is here, I just really need to slow down, because there's a tendency with me to try and draw really quickly, and it's because I'm used to training people to draw really quickly, but also I'm used to drawing on the train. So my goal when I was sort of learning and just sketching on my phone, my goal then was to try and finish an entire sketch in the 30-minute train ride to and from work. And if I finished a sketch, I succeeded. And when I look back at those sketches, they were pretty rough and they were pretty raw. But I'll tell you what, they did teach me a little bit. And yeah, I certainly don't take as much time as a lot of other artists. I certainly like to do things relatively quickly, and what I want is, when I stream, I want you to see a decent amount of work being done. I don't want you to see me touching up artworks, like the boring stuff. I want you to see the more fun stuff, and hopefully that's the case. So if you're watching this back on YouTube, or if maybe you catch me live in the future, hopefully you enjoy the content. That to me would make me happy. Cool. I will add a bit more detail. I've got to figure out where these things are actually colored in. I think it's in base color 1. There you go. Cool. Oop. Let's go alpha lock. And I think because I'm reaching that 3-hour mark now, I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. So maybe I should wrap this up and call it a stream, I think. But let's try and get a few more things done before we finish it. Just a few more things. I like to try and get the color of this outline done, and then maybe in another stream I shall what I shall do is I maybe will try adding a bit more outline to it and adding a bit more color to it. And this stream could be an absolute disaster because it might not actually look any good. But I don't know, I think I'm kind of excited by that prospect of adding just a little bit more outline. So I'm inspired by sort of like a hill formation. So the idea, because I usually end my with this particular art style, I usually like to have like a lot of empty space here, but I'm thinking what I'd like to do is have like a hill kind of design, so another section here, and then I'll add the same pattern but going around like that with all the same colors and everything. It might look really cool, it might look really lame, but I've never done it before, so I'm kind of excited to try that out. Okay, so now it's come time for me, and this won't take too long, I don't imagine, and then I'll probably wrap up my stream. For those who've watched the entire way on the replays or during the stream, thank you for joining. And yeah, feel free to follow or subscribe so you can get updates on what I do and when I stream. I also post little updates on Instagram as well, so you're welcome to follow me there, and yeah, really cool. I shall make a darker tone for this little red patch here. That didn't quite work the way I expected. Let's maybe, looks like I've got that in a separate layer as well. Okay. little. Ooh. And cool, go like that. With the yellow, will I add any depth there? I think I will. I'll go to a little bit of orange, not too much because I don't want to take away that particular yellow color. Very cool. And now I'll just quickly blur these in. Let's give that a shot. Cool. It's coming together. Well, I know I've had a lot of fun during this sketch. There's something about this sort of strata style that I just absolutely love. I don't know what it is, but I find it really just enjoyable. And I hope if you're watching this back, you do too. Cool. I will quickly change the yellow in this one because I don't think I blurred it properly there. Ooh, what have I done? Cool, there we go. And I don't think I've blurred this red very well, but I don't know, I think this is looking good. Okay, let's have a quick drink. Awesome. So, still unsure of what I'll do for the background color. Maybe I'll try going something like blue. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll keep it in suspense and we can kind of figure out in the next stream what I shall do. I was actually thinking something completely different, like purple might be a nice thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Maybe if I try this one, actually. I'll definitely play around with it. I'm actually thinking that sort of blue might be a nice way to sort of have it. But yeah, what I'll try in the next stream, I'm going to do a little bit more to the outline. So the idea, and just to emphasize what I'm talking about, there we go. So when I started this stream tonight, I had this outline section here. What I'm thinking of doing is having another little bit of outline there and then applying a lot of the same colors. So yeah, it's actually kind of cool. This is how we started this stream, just with a nice clear outline. And today what we have wound up with is this. And yeah, I quite like it. I think it's a cool color scheme. And so if you like the stream and you want to see more, definitely follow. And if you're watching this back on YouTube, definitely feel free to leave me a like and subscribe. Really cool. And if you really love what I do, always remember that you can support the continuation of my art and my channel by supporting me on Patreon. And there's some low costs, so they're not a huge amount, but they do give you some nice little perks, like 15% off the live stream collection if you're a supporter, as well as 3 original desktop wallpapers. USD, it's about $3.50. Really cool. And if you're a gold member, you actually can support the work and continuation of the channel and get even better perks. 25% off the live stream collection, access to my Skillshare class, and exclusive access to gold member Discord channels, which hopefully you'll be able to share your artwork and be prioritized, because that's a big thing that I want to do. I want people to share their artwork on stream so I can kind of I don't know, give feedback and sort of celebrate other people's work. That's going to be really fun. But that's been my stream, and thank you so much for joining. I hope to see you all in future streams, and it's been my pleasure. This is M. Lloyd Artist signing out. Have a good one.